Hey everybody, my name is Edgar, and I'd like to welcome all of you to another episode of Diffusing the WMSCOG. Today, we got another special guest, another ex-member of the WMSCOG, Dejanai. Dejanai, could you introduce yourself a little bit and just
Yes.
tell the audience who you are?
Yes. Well, my name is Dejanai. I originated from Zion's location being Buffalo. Um, and I was there for 7 years. I was in and out, but from the very beginning, I would say 2015 to 2022, a solid 7 years.
Okay. So you came in right after the year of Jubilee almost.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And
Yeah.
so I also want to mention that this is kind of cool because you're actually the fruit of someone who was on the channel previously and told her story, which is Amber,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Awesome. So yeah, this is pretty cool to have you on here. And without further ado, let's jump into your story.
Okay.
Um, so Dejanay, how did you get introduced to the WMSCOG? How did they approach you? When
Okay.
was this? How was your life going at the time?
So when they first approached me, I had just got into college at Madai College and I met Amber, and when I first met Amber, she was just jolly, bubbly person, a little loud, and I'm just like, oh, I love her. She's so sweet. And once I seen like a couple months go by, I haven't really seen her, and then she came back as this like completely different person, like just solid and attentive to everything. And I'm just like, oh, why are you so focused? Like, how can I
Mhm.
get like that? And
Yeah,
she was just like, "Oh, I belong to this church and we have Bible studies. We'll have a Bible study in one of the library's rooms." And I was just like, "Okay, I would like to come." And she was just like, "Okay, I'll send you the information." And then from there, that's when I just became like in touch with the Bible and with Amber.
yeah. Okay, cool. So you guys met in school. So
Hmm.
so you were actually the one that was kind of like wondering what was going on, what was this
Yeah.
change in her, and made you sparked your interest, to kind of
Yeah.
see what was going on. And so she invited you to the church. So take
Mhm.
me now to like when you actually went to the church. Did
Okay.
she study with you, or who was it that studied with you, and how was that first experience there?
So my very first experience was the Buffalo Church. It was across the street from a high school, and Amber had said, "Hey, come to the house church. We're gonna do a Bible study there." So I went to the Bible study, this house church. I'm like, "Wait, it's not in the actual church. Like, why is this a house?"
Yeah.
She said, "Oh, it's different, like it's okay. It like come in and see." And I'm just like, "Okay, this is different, but I'm open-minded." Because if this is supposed to be for God, why not? Why should I be afraid? Let's see what it's about. Um, so I went inside, and then the first person I met at the door was someone who wasn't so holy when she wasn't so
Yeah.
holy, I meant. Like she wasn't holy at all. And I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, you're here. Okay.
Yeah.
So once I seen her mannerisms changed and she's just a completely different person, I'm just like, wow, okay, maybe this is the place to be. So
Right.
let's take a tour around the place. We did a Bible study. I honestly don't remember my very first Bible study, but I can tell you the one that got me baptized.
All right, yeah, let's get into that one. Let me take a wild guess.
Okay.
It was a seal of God.
No, the Seal of God was like maybe my second favorite, but the first one was The Secret of the Forgiveness of Sins, the
Mhm.
original study before they added the Christ Unsung Home part onto it.
Right. Okay, so is that what actually got you baptized?
Yeah,
Okay.
learning about the secret of the forgiveness of sins because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm such a sinner. Why not?
Yeah, so right off the back, they make you feel like you're guilty, like you really
Yes,
need this. Yeah,
yes,
I remember that's what did it for me too. Like, I
yep,
remember all the other studies were great as well, but like the secret of forgiveness of sins, that I think they have it, as their first study for a reason
absolutely.
because they're like guilt tripping you from the get-go, like
Yes.
you need this, like and let
Like this
you
is
you
vital to your life.
Right. And so let me ask you this. Did you have an understanding at that time that if you were to keep the Passover, which according to them is the secret of the forgiveness of sins, that you would be good?
Not just yet. I had to do the study a second time to learn about this Passover.
Mm,
So it was
okay.
just like, okay, I know for a fact that through this study, I learned that I'm a sinner and I need to be forgiven. And then it was just like, okay, they didn't want to bring the name in just yet because I was so new. They didn't want to scare me away. So,
Okay.
and I learned this later on, like, okay, I understand because you
Yeah.
didn't want me to run away from what it was. So you just Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And
Yeah.
then I've always been the type of girl to chase after God. Like I want to find God. I don't set on one home church. I just want to go and explore the different, denominations to see what it's about. And then I ended up there.
Okay, okay, yeah. That's pretty cool. So let me ask you this though, because you said that one got you baptized, correct?
Yes.
So how did that work if they hadn't mentioned to you about Ansan Hong yet?
And I haven't learned about Heavenly Mother.
So you just got baptized, just,
Because I was just like, yes, like this is, I feel so comfortable. I feel like it was a love bombing. It was
yeah.
how important they made me feel. And
Mm,
already like my state of being was not so well. I was in school, I was overwhelmed, I was burnt out, and I'm just
yeah.
like, everything has to be perfect. Okay, I can't do this anymore. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
So
it was a
So
lot.
you were kind of like going through it at the time. So you're kind of, seeking, you're looking for validation. These people are
Yes.
giving it to you, the love bombing, all of that. So now here's the crazy part though, is that I'm hearing your story and you're saying, they hadn't told you about An San Hong. They hadn't
No.
told you about God the Mother and you got baptized, but that tells you a lot about this place because how can they baptize you when you don't even have an idea of what you're really getting yourself into? You don't know who this
Yes.
guy An San Hong is, who they're
I questioned
baptizing
the
you.
name once I
Yeah,
heard it. I'm just like, wait, we was talking about Jesus. Where did Ansan home come from? So then
yeah,
after that, I'm like, I have all these questions. They're like, oh, sister, don't worry. Just worry about the baptism that you just received, the free gift of the water of life. It's
yeah,
okay. We can do
yeah.
studies, but you got to do 50 studies before we really explain who this said God is. And that's so disappointing.
Yeah, and it's really it's deceiving and it's kind of whack to be honest with
Yes,
you
it is.
because if their God is the true God,
Hmm.
then they wouldn't need to spoon feed anybody. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like truth is truth. No matter no, you don't have to butter somebody up to tell them that 2 + 2 = 4. It just is what it is. But the reason they got to butter you up and tell you that oh, you need milk,
Because they
not
know
solid
they're
food.
feeding you lies.
Exactly, exactly. And if you when they haven't fully got your trust yet, and you find out about this Ansan Hong or Zhangyo Ja, you'll probably look them up because you don't fully trust
Yes.
them yet.
And I
And
don't know
so,
the depths of
right,
not eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil because I don't know that that even exists.
right, right,
The way
yeah,
that they perceived it to be.
yeah. Their
Like not
system
going
is
out to the internet and not
right,
going out to the world to see, what's really going on with this church. And I'm just like, well, I
right,
don't want to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. I don't want to be,
yeah.
banished from the Garden of Eden. So let me continue to receive the water of life and just focus on this God because this is who I feel like I found.
Right. Yeah, and obviously when we first join, we feel like this is where it's
Yep.
at, right? Like nobody can break down the Bible like these people. And little do we know that half these their Bible studies are stolen prophecies from other cults, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so it's pretty crazy, but take me through your time there. So like how was it in the beginning? Like did you like jump fully into it? Did you submerge yourself in
So
it? Did you kind of take your time?
I kind of took my time with it. So being baptized in 2016, it was just like I was still in school. I couldn't really focus on school because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's stressing me out. So my natural defense mechanism was to shut it out. Let me just focus on what's making me happy, which was this said church. And then once I realized that the Buffalo location closed down, excuse me, we went to Rochester because that's where another church was. And I'm just like, wait, why do we have to go all the way to Rochester? Why can't we just, establish another a house church? They're just like, oh, sister, no, we just need a really strong leader. The last leader's left. And I'm just like,
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
makes
that's
no
that's
sense.
kind of like okay, little red flag, but people fall off. People just
Yeah,
and here's me being gullible, making excuses, just like, it's
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, we make a lot of excuses for that place, and like
Yes,
you
we
said,
do.
the writing is on the wall. Like when since we first get there, you know what I mean? Like there's so many things. Like I remember, like even when I first walked into the church, and I studied and I got baptized.
Mhm.
Like it was almost like after the love bombing that same night afterwards when I got baptized, they were telling me like how I needed to get rid of my sweater because it had a Virgin Mary on the back.
Oh my
And
gosh.
they told my cousin the same thing. He had one with like a cross, and it's the little things, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I'm just saying, like, people should pay attention to those kind of red flags because this place is very demanding of you, to the point
Mhm.
of what you wear, what you dress, how
Yeah.
you act, how you talk, like
And now that you
everything.
bring that up, like what they are demanding of you, I feel like where this era where I supposedly fell off to their terminology, um, I needed that space. I was still dealing with school, and I'm just like, okay, I kind of want to party, and I can't really focus on what you guys are trying to force me to sit down and do. I still have school. I'm working overnights, and y'all still want me to come to church. I'm not about to quit my job and change my hours because I have
Right.
priorities, which is school. So they started to make it seem like they started to focus more studies on wanting to focus more on God and um just focus more on being that gospel worker. And I felt too much
Mm,
pressure. So I kind
yeah.
of took a step back and I kind of fell off. And then I was already dealing with like depression and anxiety, and I'm just like, oh
Mm,
my gosh, is this because I left the church? Like, is this because I wanted to be away from God, or because I wanted to party? It was a lot of second guessing and a lot of guilt tripping, and I'm just like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? I need
no.
to go back to this church. And then once you fall off, they have people randomly text you like, hey sister, I just wanted to check in. And because you're so fairly new, they don't apply pressure like a regular gospel worker. So if you're
Right.
just a regular member, they'll have random sisters text you to try to build this fake bond with you just to be in your business.
Right, right. Yeah, and it's pretty deceiving like what they do. Like you said, they will definitely try to micromanage you, try to find out where you're at all times.
It gets worse.
Yeah, it
It
really
gets
does.
worse.
It really does. For any of new members that are watching this, like if you think that, you know what I mean, when you join and they're like, oh, these people are just nothing but love and they don't
Yeah.
require much, that changes with time. The more time you're there, the more potential they see in you.
You
They're
have
just
to
gonna,
fact check. If they
yeah,
tell you not to do it, you still have to do it. Like anybody that tells you not to do something, you always want to double back and just, okay, let me see why. Why
yeah.
don't they want me to really know? And if we're serving a God and we have to preach to 100 billion people, why are we ignoring some? Why are we not preaching to the whole world?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember we loved going around the gated communities and preaching there. We love
Yeah.
preaching at universities and
Oh
they
yeah.
love doing all that, but they never went to the hood. You know what I mean?
Nope.
They
They
never
wouldn't
went.
stand a chance.
Yeah, yeah. And,
If
and
it
it's
was too hood, it's so funny because I have so many like different notebooks of from like 2019 to 2022 when they did sermons, and I used to write verse from verse if I could catch it. Um and I was just looking, I'm just like, wow, they are so manipulative. It said
yeah.
the 83 sins, and this is something that the pastor was basically going through. And I look and I said, rest and sleep is a sin. Deja,
Mm,
why were you there for so long?
yeah. Yeah. That's crazy because what they call a sin, like, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, like, we have to rest, you know what I mean? And then they
Yes,
wonder why members,
are
when they
groggy.
leave, yeah, why members develop like mental issues when you
And
leave, you know
that's
what
a
I mean?
topic that I would love to touch bases on because
Yes.
that is a struggle. And before coming into the church, I already struggled a little bit. And it's just like now with that high demand of the 5 a.m. services, I swear it went from me keeping the Saturday to it be in one service. Oh, do you want to come for second service? Then we did a study about the Sabbath day and how you needed to keep all three services. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And it was one day I didn't have nothing but change. And it was $10 in quarters. And I'm just like, okay, I'm tithing, I'm giving to God. It shouldn't matter what form of money that is coming in, but this is all that I have, and this is what I'm willing to give. And
Yeah.
I had a whole Bible study about um do not give pearls to pigs or something. It was something so weird. And I'm just like, what? Just because
After you
I
did
gave,
that?
yes, just because I gave change, like I didn't realize that that was a thing. I thought at any other regular church, I'm just putting money in a thing. Like, this is what I have. This is all I'm given. Like, God sees my struggle. God sees me. So if this is what I'm given, I hope that this is enough.
Yeah.
And clearly it wasn't to their terms.
Yeah. And so think about that, members. Like this place cares so much about the money, you know what I mean? That it even has to be a certain type, because they will look
Yes.
down upon you. Like I can attest to it 100%. I remember missionary Michael. I remember multiple leaders, like they would tell us, like, hey, make sure you talk to your group, make sure you talk to your unit, and make sure that they're offering, and make sure that
Listen,
it's
that is so
bills.
crazy because even like I wanted to be seen so bad, and I promised you, Edgar, if I loved myself enough, I would have never been in that church as long as I was.
Yeah.
But I've learned so much about myself, and granted, the pain still lingers from time to time, but what growth doesn't hurt?
Right.
And being able to leave that place and see how well I've developed from it, it take a lot of emotional maturity. But once I realized what they were doing, I
Yeah.
said, you know what? Okay, this is not for me. This is not
Right.
for me. And yeah,
No, you look like you're in a good place right now. You look solid, and what I always tell people is like, yeah, it's tough when you first leave, but one thing that I always try to encourage the members is like life gets so much better once you
it
leave, and
does.
you're such a stronger person once you do.
Yep.
So
And,
let me oh, go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
I'm sorry. So I typically talk fast or talk over people. I have
No
ADHD.
problem. No problem. We love it. We love it.
Um, so what I wanted to share with you was we had a tithes and offering service. And I come to find out that tithes and offering service was because members weren't tithing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, why is this an issue? But the more I worked myself up, like, oh my gosh, I want to be seen. I want to be seen in the church. All these sisters is doing so good. Why isn't it any black sisters up at the top?
Mm.
Let me work hard to really, show like I'm an independent African American woman. Let's get this done. Let's do
Yeah.
this. I want this sermon. I want that sermon. I went as far as to getting the Spanish version
Mm.
because I wanted to train myself to be that girl.
Yeah.
And it was never gonna happen.
Yeah.
It was never
Yeah.
gonna happen.
That's another can of worms that we can talk about, because
Absolutely.
there definitely is racism in there. It doesn't
Oh
matter what
yeah.
anybody says. There's all
It's
the all
there.
the ex-members that were in communication. We all agree there's definitely racism inside the church. But let me ask you this. So once you got baptized, once you said you kind of slowly kind of you took the slow road, to
Yeah.
kind of build yourself up, and like you said, you were already kind of going through things, and I bet
Yeah.
that the being in that kind of church just amplified the depression and all,
Yep.
like, because of the demands, and you're never good enough. But I want to ask you, like, what were some of the first red flags that, like, you noticed, like big red flags, or when was it that you started to, like, realize, like, man, maybe this place is not what they seem to be?
They were like robots. It was like when I didn't know nothing about the prayer of our wishes. Like I'm blindsided, I'm open-minded to come to this church, I'm keeping the service, and then I hear the prayer of our wishes. I pop my head up so fast and I start looking around like, oh no,
Yeah, yeah,
what is going on here?
yeah.
And then I did the Bible study about the Savior in each age and Christ on sent home. And
Yeah.
then that's when everything started. Like they have a whole training system, and I'm not even mad at them for it. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
They
But
know what
but
they're
that,
doing.
that's hilarious though, because it's definitely like a whiplash. Like, would you say, like, when
Yeah.
when you're in a service and then you have no idea what you're getting yourself into, and then next thing you know, everybody in unison, you just see them bust out in a loud voice, "Hanare
Yeah.
Keshin," and you're like, "What
Yeah. And
the
I'm just
heck
like,
is going on?"
whoa.
Yeah, definitely creepy, especially when you don't know what's going on. And I remember I used to feel like secondhand embarrassment for like my friends or
Yes,
contacts
when
that I
they
would bring
come,
in there.
oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Yes, I brought a friend. I would say I had my son in 2018. Let me take you to 2018. I had my son in 2018, and I would say I took a year off. I was avoiding Amber. I deleted her number because the more she invited me and the more pressure she applied to get me to come to the church, I got distant and I got a little nervous because I'm like, why is she applying so much pressure? Why is it so important for me to come to this church? And um and I avoided her. I had my son, and once I had my son in 2018, I experienced a near death experience, and that kind of startled me. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, is it because I left the church? And once I had already did a lot of the studies, like keeping the Passover, I had missed the Passover, and I ended up having my son, and I'm like, oh my God, what can I do to keep the Passover? I missed the Passover to have my baby. Nobody understands. I already know I shouldn't have had a baby out of wedlock, but I just needed somebody to love and to carry while I'm at this church. Everybody's in a relationship, everybody's loving. Then I'm here single. Y'all pressuring me to come do more Bible studies. Just let me have something to myself. And
Yeah.
I had my son and I love him so much, but that experience, I'm so grateful that he do not remember most of anything because
Yeah.
of the simple fact the way the kids are treated there is so distasteful.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, I'm happy for you too, because yeah, definitely the children go through so much. And
Yeah,
I've talked to so many members that came in as children, even my son, he's older now, but he joined when he was little when we joined, and the psychological effects are real, you know what I mean? Especially when you're constantly being threatened with hellfire and just, everything like that. And everything is so performance based, like
yeah,
it doesn't do you any good. But it's kind of telling how you're saying, that when you were kind of had to take a step back and you were just doing things that normal people do, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And but yet you were you said you went through a near death experience, and
yes,
all you could think about was, man, this place, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't keep Passover, I didn't, so
yeah.
automatically that fear that they
Triggered
instilled
me
in
to
you,
want to
yeah,
go
it
back.
triggered you. Yeah.
And
And so
then my
that's
baby ended up getting baptized. That my son was born May 13th, 2018. And then he got baptized in August because I'm just like, yes, I'm excited. I want him to, have this water of life. He's new. I'm forgiving. Father and mother, forgive me for having a baby out of wedlock. Please accept me back. I had the deaconess at that time told me, oh, sister, you're lucky you didn't get kicked out of the church for having a baby out of wedlock. So
that's
she was
wild.
just like, okay, you need to be super forgiving. We'll have to have a conversation with pastor. And then she said, we don't have to talk to pastor. I'll have a conversation with pastor. And it's, um, you need to be mindful and open-minded that anything can happen. So you need to pray and write letters to father. At this time, I didn't even know anything about mother. I did not know nothing about mother until
Wow.
2019, going into 2020. Um,
Wow.
because I was, in and out. I was in and out. I was 60% of the world, 40% of the church. I thought, how I could be a regular member, you come and go as you please. But no, once you get there, you need to stay there.
Yeah.
And it started to get a little bit more intense. They're texting me, hey, where are you? Are you keeping service? You need to really keep service. So it went from keeping one Saturday service to all three. And then you know, oh, we keep third day service. I'm like, what is third day service? Why do I need to keep third day service? Did the Bible study about the services, and I don't even remember, but it's in one of my notebooks about third day. Um,
Yeah.
how cleaning the the
The
cow or
heifer and
something.
all
Yes.
that.
And I'm
Yeah.
just like, okay, I get it. Scare tactic. Okay, I'll keep the service. But
Uh,
thinking about it all this time about how they're making you change all of these things, I've lost a lot of jobs trying to keep up with this church and their traditions. And it's like, oh, Father and Mother, bless you so much. Um, I know you're in school and I know that you're working, but you should really focus on God. This is your time. We really need to preach. So it kind of encouraged me to take a semester off of school because I was already stressed out. But it was another thing. It's so crazy. My mind is all over the place because I have so much that I want to get out, but it's only so much I can say in just 1 second.
Yeah, yeah, no, don't worry about it. Like, at
Um,
the end of the day, we could always do this a part two. You know what I mean?
okay.
But we're gonna try to get as much as we can out. So, you okay? So that's one story, one aspect of it. Tell me, like, did you when you were in there, towards the middle of your time there, was there anything else that you might have noticed? You know what I mean? Like any red flags, any stories that pop up in your head of mistreatment or anything that you might have saw.
Yes, so I want to piggyback off the story with Amber. When she brought up, I had a friend. She was disabled, and I love her so dearly. Rest in peace, her soul. She passed away January 2019, I believe. Nope, it was 2020, January 2020. And I loved her so much. And she just was so different. And I've always attracted people who were different. So I'm like, yeah, this place makes me happy. You're not in a happy place. You're so worried about your health issues and your mental health. Come see what God is like. If it makes me happy, let me share that happiness with you. So of course I preached to her. I did to feed my sheep. And I read to her so much, and her dad was on his deathbed. He had just passed away. So when she came to do a Bible study, she had on his memorial shirt.
Mm,
And they were just looking like, oh my God, I cannot believe she's in here with this memorial shirt. Why is she dressed like that? And that was the first red flag, judgment.
yeah.
Judgment. And then it was like, once she was being judged, I'm like, okay, I'm learning about the church still, but you guys are rubbing me the wrong way because I'm bringing this girl in. And they were like, oh, sorry, didn't mean to say her name. I didn't know if we could do that or not.
You're
Um,
fine. You're fine.
She's like, oh, she needs to come do Bible study on her own. And I'm just like, okay, so not to come together. If I'm her branch and she's my fruit, why can't we grow together? I know what she needs. I know what barriers she has. So let me help my fruit continue to blossom so she can bear fruit. And it was more so like, oh no, she needs to come do these studies by herself. We need to see if she can do it without you. If she can't do it without you, she's not good fruit. And she was studying with the deaconess at the time and she started stuttering. And it was so much judgment on the deaconess face at that time. And I just felt so bad. I felt so embarrassed for her because of the simple fact that it wasn't real. Like none of the love at that moment wasn't real. There was no empathy, there was no redirection. And there was, most importantly, no security to make her feel like I want to come back here.
Um,
So when Amber had explained, try to get her to come without Deja, so we can tell her she cannot come anymore. I didn't learn about this until she passed away. And Amber told me, hey, I have something to tell you. They already made up the story about Amber and how she decided to leave to follow her soon to be husband now. Um, And I still wanted to call her and talk to her because I'm just like, I'm a genuine person. If you're my friend, I want to talk to you. I want to see how you are. She's what was it? She's bad fruit or something. They had a specific terminology for her, but
yeah.
she just went away and she's banishing or tarnishing the name of God and doing all of this stuff. And I'm just like, that don't sound like her. So I
Yeah.
called her and I'm trying to reach out to her. I've been sending her emails and trying to find her. And it was just a time where I just could not locate her. And I'm just like, hey, what's going on? What happened? And then she was telling me everything. And I'm just like, wait, what? What? And I'm deep in the church in this time. And our mindset is, learn what you can to see what you can defend once you um once you hear that false news, because you know your God and you want to stand firm in your God. So find out what that false information is from word of mouth and defend it.
Yeah.
Um so with that, I'm just like, oh my goodness, you telling me that they said not for her to come back because she's bad fruit. Why didn't you tell me this before? So when I posted on Snapchat that she had passed away, she said, Deja, I'm so sorry. And I was freaking out at that time because I'm like, oh my God, she stopped coming to the church. I didn't know that she was told not to come back. And she was like, "Yeah, oh my God, they told me not to come back. They told her not to come back to the church. It's okay. She's gonna be okay." And I'm like, "She stopped coming. She's dying because she's out in the world." And saying it now sounds so crazy, but feeling those emotions still in that moment, I was so passionate because I loved her so much. And I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, what could I have done differently?" I felt so much guilt because once she fell away, that's what it was. She fell away. And they said, "Oh yeah, stop communicating with her because she doesn't want to come back anymore." So it was a lie. And once Amber finally told me the truth, I broke down in tears because it's just like, oh my gosh, I pushed this girl away because I thought she just fell away. And the fact that we had this tight relationship and she would just walk, she lived across the street from me. She would come in my house and I would be so like disgusted with her, like, ew, how could you banish father and mother like that? And I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, this is supposed to be your friend. So the way that you're trained there is so scary because you can turn on anybody.
Yeah.
Nothing's genuine there. And I beat myself up so much about that. So that was a red flag as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me just stop you right there real quick because wow, like
yeah.
that's intense.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so messed up how they went about that,
Yeah.
and man, it just that it really it makes me angry, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
to hear stories like that. But like you said, I just want to tell you also that it's okay that you did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Amber did nothing wrong. You guys only did what was done to you because that's how, like you said, that's how we're trained, right?
Yeah.
There's so many things that I did while I was in that place that I regret so much, but I understand you have to learn how to forgive yourself
Yes.
because it's not you that's making those
It was the
decisions.
mindset that you were
It's
programmed to have.
yeah,
And that's the thing that I think that's the hardest part after coming out of the church, honestly, was more so of having that mindset like, oh my gosh, I have to realize that. Um, the eye opener for me is Amber's brother and her sister-in-law. I went to school with her sister-in-law, so I had more than one connection. And once I seen her there, it was just like, yes, I have somebody that I can cling to, not just Amber. So when Amber left, it was easier for me to stay because I still had some comfort there. I had a natural support. And I
yeah,
was just like, yes, somebody I went to high school with, somebody that I went to college with. This is really my friend. And the way
yeah.
that mindset they trained us to become, we weren't friends. We were just coworkers.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. You
Mm-hmm.
really don't have friends there because the love that they say is like mother's love, that's
It's
not real
not.
love. That's
It's not.
conditional love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's it's sad, because you build these kind of relationships in there and you think that these people are really like your
But
friends and
it's not.
family.
It's
It's
like
not
when
like
Amber told me that day she called me, she said, Deja, the higher up they get, the more evil and nasty it is. And I didn't
that.
really believe it because at that time I'm just like, what is she talking about? I still love her, but for us to have a good relationship, let's not talk about the church. But it was so hard because in that moment, emotionally, she needed somebody that she can, talk to feel like she's still alive somewhere deep down inside. And something just told me, hang on to her, talk to her, don't tell anybody that you talk to her. It was like a natural response, like, don't tell anybody you talk to her. But why should I not have to tell anybody I talk to her? Why is it that personal? Why is it that deep to that level where I cannot have a friend? And
Right.
nobody in here is genuinely my friend. And
Right.
we're co-workers. We preach together, we cook together, and we do everything together. It's the close proximity. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes total sense. And again, it goes back to their system. You know what I
Yes,
mean? They obviously don't want you to get close to anybody, like to have a real relationship with them.
yes.
They can tell you whatever they want to say that, oh, we're brothers and sisters, this and that. Mother's love, she loves us all, and we're so
Yeah,
united in
let's not bring up the
Zion.
Bible study, Heavenly Family, Earthly Family, because that one
Yeah,
got me too. And I'm just like, oh my God, we got a Heavenly Father, a Heavenly Mother. Let's do this. And
yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. And
And
another red flag for me was I was natural. Like my natural hair was out when I first came back. I was a breastfeeding mom. My son had braids. One of the sisters looked at me and said, why does he have braids? And I said, ew, like this is my first time coming back. Why, like why are you being so aggressive? Oh, boys shouldn't have hair on their head. I said, he's a baby. And that was my first impression coming back after not doing any Bible studies, after having that near-death experience. I was getting on two buses and I had a stroller and it was still wintertime. I was dedicated.
yeah,
I was dedicated because I started going through postpartum. My living situation wasn't the best. I didn't have a lot of natural support at home, and I was struggling mentally. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm going through so many changes. What is this feeling like? Mentally, I knew I was changing and something was off. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what is going on? I feel like I just need to get more in tune with church. So that's when I really started going. I'm like, okay, let me show you that I can do this even as a mom. Like
right.
I can really do this. I'm going to the services. My son was constantly screaming. Don't let a baby scream during service. So you're going to have to go to the very back or go
No,
into a room and shut the door or even take them outside if they're too loud. Because if
no.
they're disturbing services, nobody can receive the free gift of life during the service.
Yeah, the free gift that's really not free.
Absolutely.
That's what I always like to say.
Absolutely.
But to that point, like how cringe is that? That
Yeah, I was just
why
like,
are they worried about your
and
son's hair?
they made her apologize. And I'm just like, I don't feel like that's sincere. I actually feel like I don't like you right now, so I kind of need
Yeah,
personal space. Oh,
yeah,
sister, you shouldn't be like that. You should be loving. Father and mother forgive you, so you should forgive your sister. And I'm just looking like I'm still human. She just got on my nerves.
yeah.
Give me some space.
Yeah. Oh, they won't never do that. That place is
Ever.
like on you, micromanaging, like
Ever.
breathing down your neck, you know?
Yes.
But it's just so absurd to me because, obviously they got that from them that, that sister, they told her to apologize, but she's only saying what was taught to her because
Exactly.
that is what they tell you in the church is that, brothers shouldn't have long hair and da da da. But where are they getting this from? You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
and the funny thing is, we could break down, Bible verses on another day, like First Corinthians, which I know they're probably thinking of, but like it's all because they're trying to get brothers and sisters to mimic An San Hong and Zhang Gil.
Yeah.
But it's like, yo, I don't want to look like An San Hong. I don't want to talk
Speaking of
like An
that,
San Hong.
looking like I was a moment where we had this Millersport location, and when I was wearing that natural hair, I was wearing, the clothes that I had that I felt comfortable enough to wear to church, long pants and sweaters and closed up shirt. I'm a mom, I'm trying to look presentable and get used to wearing my natural hair to try to love myself a little bit more because I'm trying. I got pulled aside and said, oh, your natural hair, have you tried permanent? I said, I had a perm before and I got heat damage and my scalp was really bad. Like I'm over explaining who I am and I shouldn't have to do that. And
Yeah,
Amber was the one that pulled me aside with the deaconess at that time and was just like, sister, deaconess said, look at Heavenly Mother. She wears makeup. And at that time, I was on my natural journey, trying to embrace my natural skin. And it was just like, boom, I get hit with this.
yeah,
And I will always be like, Mom, why are you wearing makeup and why are you doing this? But now I joined a church that's criticizing how I look because my makeup isn't fresh. And I see all these sisters that got blush and this red lipstick and their face is beat. Their face were always beat. That's one thing I can say. We always had a sister that got the makeup done.
yeah.
But I don't know. It was just once that was a red flag for me. I'm like, I'm not perming my hair. Maybe I'll add weave to it, but I'm not perming my hair. Like you just made me feel so down about myself and so low about myself. That
Yeah.
was a red flag.
And
Another
and
red.
go ahead. Yeah,
No,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. And
No,
I'll go after you.
I was just gonna say like that is just still so crazy to me because again, like let's just keep it 100. It's that's some of the
Hmm.
racist stuff that I'm talking about,
Yeah.
because why do they care about the way that you guys have your hair? You know what I mean? Like we all are entitled, we all have our own culture. And
Exactly.
again, this is what I've been talking about in my previous videos is they want us to literally absorb the Korean culture from the way that we talk, the way that we dress,
Mhm.
everything. And it's like why they even tell us like Korea is superior to you guys.
Yes.
Korean culture is heavenly culture.
That's
And
what
it's
when I had went to New Windsor the one time, the pastor made a joke about Koreans being the best. And
mm,
I was just like, huh, okay, I'm gonna let that brush off because he could be arrogant sometime because he's still human.
yeah.
That should have never
Yeah,
been said.
exactly. And the thing is like it's not an isolated incident because
It's not.
this all these Korean pastors they say the same thing. I can attest that Pastor Daniel Park used to tell us the same thing. He used to make fun of American members. He used to say like, when I first got here to America, the American members were so selfish and greedy and they were not like us, Korean culture is
Yeah.
heavenly culture. That's why father and mother came from over here. And it's like, nah, bro, like now
Mhm.
looking back at it, I'm like, again, I'm not knocking Koreans. I'm just saying the way that they're trying to say that Korean culture is heavenly culture and above everyone else. It's not. They have their same thing. And if they're basing that off of their father and mother are adulterers. They didn't obey the Bible. So they
Yeah.
wouldn't be the right example to follow in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But anyway, get us into the next red flag you were gonna talk about.
So my next red flag was which one was this one? Give me a second.
Go ahead, take your time. Take your
It's a
time.
lot that's trying to come forth. Um, which
Stories
was
for days.
listen, the next red flag for me, I would say I just got writer's block without even writing.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
Um,
It's all right. So
we had sermons about um wearing lingerie, like not to be sexy to entice our husbands and stuff. I did end up getting married. I did end up getting married, not to somebody that was there. I refused. Um, it was someone that I brought from outside of the church. And I was just like, it was a lot going on. I'm like, I'm not marrying someone in the church. We got married outside of the church in 2020. And then that's when he really wanted to start coming. That's when he started doing the Bible studies. That's when he really started getting deep into it. Once he Father's Green Book, he brought up it's missing chapters. And I said, "What?" I said, "Why would you say that?" He's like, "No, I'm serious. Look at your green book. It's missing chapters." And I looked, and then being letting your husband lead, I'm listening to what he has to say. Like, if you're telling me something is wrong, let me not just go against your word. Let me look into it, and then we can approach the situation together. And it was just like, let me text the deacon. And it's like, oh, he needs to do this Bible study. He needs to do this Bible study. He didn't even know the answer because he didn't know that the Green Book was missing 3 chapters.
mm,
So he had to go to pastor to ask him about the chapters, and pastor told him not to worry about it. He ended up having to go all the way out to New Windsor to do a couple Bible studies, and then come back to tell us about Father's book.
and what was the answer to the three missing chapters?
Honestly, I don't remember, but it was just this was during COVID, so it was a lot of Zoom calls, it was a lot of preaching and a lot of let's get on Zoom, sisters, this group me, who's available, who's not available. Oh, you're at home, you shouldn't be unavailable. Like I work from home. I'm a mom.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
needed to do preaching logs. We needed to track our activity. And I'm just like, this is a lot. But at that time, I did complain. I'm like, let me not grumble. Let me just do what I need to do. Let maybe it's just my flesh fighting against the word of God. And I'm like, okay, let me be resilient. Let me keep going. Let me keep pressing forward and adapting to the changes that's happening. And everything was just happening so fast. And before we got married, I didn't invite him to the church, but I definitely explained to him, like, I go to church these days. This is what I want in this relationship. This is what I want you to expect. If you can't get with it, you gotta get lost. Because I was so hyper focused on God and these were the rules. So I was trained in that moment to be like, okay, this is what it is. I do want to experience dating. I do want to experience having fun. I don't need to date and have sex to be happy. I could just date and practice celibacy and the word of God and be okay. But, people out in the world won't understand that. You have to explain it to them. So, what I'm trying to get to is that we posted a picture on Instagram. He was standing on the side of me and his hand was on my waist. It wasn't nothing inappropriate. And I got a screenshot of the post that I sent from the deaconess, and she called me and went off. Why are you posting this? You shouldn't have a boyfriend. You should be kicked out of the church. Are you guys having sex? What are you guys into? And you guys are living together? Oh my God, why aren't you staying with sisters? We shouldn't even let you come back to the church, so you should be grateful that you're still here. We had to have a long conversation with pastor about it. And I'm just like, oh my God, like this is crazy. So that was the red flag that I was
Yeah.
trying to remember. But it was just so bad. Like when Amber used to pick me up and drop me off, I used to have him hide. No, don't help me with the baby. Stay upstairs. Like I had this sense of protection where because he wasn't part of the church, I didn't want them to know anything about him because of the simple fact I still wanted a piece of myself to be happy. I still wanted a piece of myself to feel like, oh my God, I have something of my own that nobody knows about at this place to try to get in my business about because I just had a sense of privacy where it's just like, yeah, y'all want to know too much. Y'all want to
Yeah.
know everything.
And they're like just a total buzzkill. Like anyone that you bring in there, like you already know what's gonna happen. So I totally get it.
Yes.
Like you don't even want them there because you already know what's gonna happen. It's like I feel the same way about my cousin. Me and my cousin, we were like rock solid. Me
Yeah.
and him. That's like my brother. And if he's watching this, he's a deacon right now. I miss those times growing up and we were so close we could talk about anything, and it just seems like once because I brought him into the cult, and once we were there, what I mean, after the years went on, like you
I
can't
started to
have a
separate.
normal conversation. Yeah, like it always has to be about the doctrine. It always has to be about, and the funny thing is, that's all we could talk about. We would joke and we'd have good times, but we'd always bring it back to father and mother. But then when I left, the funny thing is he used to always ask me for like answers to the Bible, and like even other leaders would ask me like, Edgar, what do you think about this? And it's like as soon as I left and I began to ask questions and I began to like kind of poke at them, and it's like at now they don't want to talk anything when it comes to do with the Bible, and to the point to where they don't even talk to me anymore. And it's just so wild for me because that shows a lot. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, it shows that these
Like how
people
much do
want.
you really know?
Right. And like, that they feel uncomfortable when they know that they're talking to someone that can actually ask good questions. And I
Yeah.
think that, you know what I mean? Like that's very important, for members that are watching this. If you're trying to help somebody get out of the cult, you have to learn how to ask good questions. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And ask these questions, in a way
And
that'll
do
make
your
the member
research
think.
first. Do your
Yes.
research first because the first thing they're going to do, they're going to have countermeasures. And the countermeasures are basically attacks against whatever words or whatever verse you have towards them. We had a whole countermeasure about Muslims. We had a whole countermeasure. That was another red flag. We
Yeah.
had a countermeasure about Muslims and how we're not supposed to be like them or how to attack them to get them to believe in Christ outside home. And I'm just like, that's kind of messed up. Like, why are we messing with any other religion? Like, we preach to them, we don't attack them. And if we're supposed to be spreading love, mother's love, where does this love come from?
Yeah.
We can't do that to them.
And the funny thing is, like, if you look at the comment sections on like this YouTube channel or other YouTube channels that talk about the WMSCOG, you just hear nothing but members crying, like, oh, why are you attacking us? Why are you
Yeah.
only attack? Like, if they
Like I
don't
was
go,
once one of those people that commented on a video that said, "Oh no, this is the true way. This is God Almighty." It depends on what tier you're in.
yeah.
So it's gonna be God Almighty, and then oh my God, I really need to serve God. I want to be seen. I was even a kids' room teacher.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it definitely is like that. And I remember I commented on Great Light Studios, and I brought up the famous verse in Acts where it's like, leave these men alone. If
Yeah,
if their purpose is of.
that's their favorite defense.
Yeah, and it's like now I look back at it, I'm like, man, I was so lost in the sauce. It's
Yeah,
secondhand embarrassment for myself. But anyway, so take me a little bit. So now you kind of told me these red flags. You had your baby, and you were kind of going through the motions in the church. So what did it for you? What was like the final nail in the coffin
I
that actually
had
got you to leave?
my daughter. I had a daughter. So she's now about to be 3 soon. So me and my husband at that time, we had a baby. And I was also the kids room teacher. And one thing a lot of the normal gospel workers don't see if you're not a parent is the struggle that a lot of the gospel worker parents face. Someone has to be in the kids room, like with our location in Blaisdell. Someone had to be in the kids room. Someone need to clean after service. Someone need to set up for the next day. Someone needed to be on the clock around Monday to Monday. Even on Sunday, the preaching assembly, we needed someone in the kids room. We needed to make sure that they had activities. Oh, and then again, I overseen maybe 12 kids. Never done this before. Never had any experience really. And I'm just like, yes, I'm finally seen. I'm a kids room teacher. Go, Deja, go. And once I realized the responsibility and how much money you're going to end up spending buying supplies on how to do the Sunday school crafts and, trying to have fun, drilling these kids, learn the prayer of our wishes, um, working on this Bible study. When I tell you I was dedicated, I bought a board, the what is it, the with the writing and then the easel. I had that whole section for us to get it together, and nobody helps me with the lesson plan. I had to do it for each service, even the 5 a.m.s. Like we had a couple sisters that would help, but the parents needed to be the ones because we were parents. We were blessed if a sister that wasn't a parent came to watch the kids. And that was okay because of the simple fact, we got a break. But they expected so much of us. They're like, okay, your kids need to do this. Your kids need to do this. It's a sin. When your kids start crying during service, this is because it's a true action. This is the true action of your soul being revealed, how you act when you're not around in Zion. So, me being hyper focused on trying to be this perfect image, this perfect being, I'm like, oh my gosh, why can't my son get it together? Like, is he a demon? Like, what is wrong with him? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. So I'm steady praying. I'm steady praying. I'm just like, he's two.
yeah,
He's two. He's gonna cry. He might be hungry. Maybe he got a wedgie in his diaper. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like maybe he just don't want to hear this BS right now.
yeah, yeah,
Like it was just so it's the feelings like I've seen sisters, kids get taken away because they couldn't keep up with taking care of them. They wanted to be a gospel worker so bad that they're a gospel worker but childless. And I'm just like, how red flag for me because I love my babies and I see them as precious. And it's like, I don't know, I wasn't that gospel worker that was able to put my kids, put God before my kids like that, especially with everything else that was going on in the community. Um, it was a lot. Like we kept up with a lot. We were overworking. The 5 a.m.s were horrible. Trying to stay up. we even moved closer. My husband at the time, we moved closer towards the church because I'm like, okay, about to have this baby. I want to get closer to the church. I don't want to have to travel back and forth. I know the winters get bad out here. I just want to be closer to God and I want to serve God. So, and work is around the corner. So let me have everything together. Um, and just moving closer, it was just more priorities. Oh, Sister Deja, you got to do this or you got to do that. I wanted to be part of the committee, but being part of the committees meant you needed to have more money. And I'm just like, well, I don't have enough money for this. And it was so much competition between the sisters, like, oh, I could do this better or I could do this better. And I'm just like, but we're all together. And hearing that all the time, it pushed you to be better. Like, oh, her sermon was better than mine. Let me try to be this. And I've had encounters with sisters where it was just like they made me feel awkward. Um, and it's like the races have their separations, and I've had my fair share with the African sisters. I love them so much, but they would they would cuss and stuff when we weren't around the church. But when we get around the church, it's just double-edged sword sharp. And I'm just like, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Like you're supposed to be a leader. You're supposed to be the team leader. What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like their inner selves is trying to come out,
Mm-hmm.
but the cult personality is just like fully taken over. You
Shining.
know what I mean? Yeah, and it's crazy. Like that's why we say like when we're in there, we're really lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
The best way to really find out how somebody is once they leave,
Hmm.
then that's when you see the real them. You know what I mean? And so because
Yeah.
there are some good, there's a lot of good people in there, but there's also some jerks in there, you know what I mean? And so
Oh,
you
I know. And let me tell you about this. I think this is like one more red flag. I probably got a lot more, but this one was the icing on the cake for me. We are still in lockdown. I'm going through like a mental health crisis. Like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. I'm in a house. There's so much going on in the world. Deaconess, let me call Deaconess. And I'm calling her. I'm calling her. She's not answering. I said, can you please pick up? I'm in the shower. My baby is out there crying. My husband is out there with him. And he doesn't know I'm crying in the bathroom, but I feel so comfortable with you. So I just want to talk to you. Like, I feel like I'm losing my mind. I don't feel like I'm being a good mom. And it's all of this pressure of wanting to be a gospel worker, wanting to make sure your bills is paid on time, making tithes and offering. If you don't give tithes and offering, oh, please believe you're being looked at as you don't want to be a good gospel worker, or you're trying to sneak around and get some information and leak it out to the people.
yeah.
So it's always been so highly controlled, and I feel like we've overlooked it so much because we were weakened. Like this is normal. This is normal for us, and it really shouldn't have been that way at all.
Yeah. No, yeah, that, like you said, we become numb to it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? We become numb to it because we just say, well, that's how things work in Zion. That's
Yeah.
how father and mother must want, things to get done.
Yeah.
But again, it's not right.
Yeah.
So what was it actually that made you leave?
So my husband at the time, he was telling me a red flag in there. I'm sorry.
You're
Went
good.
preaching. We went preaching. I went preaching with a sister after I had the baby. I'm like, I'm still, I'm a little sore because I had a C-section. Um, and this is 2022, like the same year that I was leaving. um we went to Target and we were preaching, and I see a homeless person, and I have a soft spot for people who's homeless. Granted, it could be their own choice that they're homeless or whatever the case may be, but I always had a soft spot for them because you just don't know their story. So I see him, he's out there begging. I'm like, I don't have a lot of money, but I can buy you a meal. Like we can go to McDonald's and I can get you food. The sister looked at me, she said, we don't give pearls to pigs, we don't feed them. I said, why? If they're part of the 100 billion people that we need to preach to, why is it a difference into who we preach to? Oh, we don't preach to homeless people. Why? Why? Why don't we preach to homeless people? There's so many people out in the world that need to be saved. Why aren't we going in the hood? Why aren't we going to go help everybody else? Why aren't we going in the rural areas? The only time we go in the hood, really, is when it's cameras around and when we did a cleanup. That was the
Yeah.
only time.
That
The
part.
only time we seen good behavior, oh, everything needs to be sharp, everything needs to be clean. And it's just like, oh my gosh. Another thing, I couldn't ride in the car with my husband at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
But
that's weird.
we got a car so we can drive back and forth places together. So when we go to Rochester, we could drive together. No, they wanted to split us up. We had went to a blood drive. And when we had went to this blood drive, husband and wife, they want to hang out together. After we get that done, we got to drive back anyway. They're like, "Oh, where are you guys going?" We ended up going out to eat, spend time to bond with each other. And we ran into a couple other sisters, and it was just like we trying to dodge them, trying to stay away from them because we just don't know what to expect. But it's just the simple fact that you just you just have this sense of security and wanting to protect little things that mean the most to you once you're further in that church. And it's so hard because the way that they have your mind wired, the way that they have you trained, you're going against your thoughts. You don't have your own mindset. It's a sin to have your own mindset. It's a sin to want to do anything that is not of the gods. Like I was trying to plan taking the kids to the zoo so we could do a Bible study sitting at the zoo. It had to get approved by pastor. A lot of things had to get approved. Another red flag for me was when um my husband at the time had brought our tithes and offering after our daughter was born. They said, "Oh, are you enjoying being at home?" And he was like, "No, not really, but I'm enjoying my daughter." And like, okay. And I said, "Ew, why is she acting like that towards you?" And this was the deaconess. This was the deaconess, and I'm just like, what is that? Like, why is
Yeah.
that a thing? Um, so then even after that situation, and I found out about that they didn't know the answers to father's books. They didn't know about it was other questions that my husband at the time had brought up that the deacon couldn't answer. And I was already like, okay, he's mentioned these books before, but now he's adamant about these books. So let me take heed and listen to this man because he's obviously not telling me something. So he's typically was a little timid to tell me because I was all bark. Like, you're not about to talk about God like that. That's my God. That's our God. We're not thinking about outside world. This is us. Don't believe the outside sources. So if you're watching this, I'm sorry for that experience when it comes to me being aggressive. But then again, that's how I was trained. That's how I was trained. And it's after I had finally left, like, I don't want to go back. I found out that Saturday, it was a Saturday in September of 2022. I said, no, no. All I could think about was my mom. I drove to Virginia 9 hours straight with the newborn baby, 2 months old. Mind you, I had a C-section and it'd take almost 8 to 10 weeks to heal. I wasn't even completely healed yet. Drove there. Mom, she's like, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Oh, I just wanted to come visit." And she was like, "Why?" I said, "What's today?" She said, "Saturday." "Aren't you supposed to be at church?" I said, "Yeah, but I found out it was a cult." She was like, "Shut the front door. I know you're lying." And I was just like, "No, I'm so serious." And one thing that I'm not sure if a lot of people has mentioned this, but the repairing of relationships after having such a traumatic experience. Like, your experience may be traumatic, but trying to repair those relationships, you have to be mindful that those people had a traumatic experience with you. So it's like I've lost a couple friends on this journey. I've lost a lot of stable relationship with family members. Like, I've become a lot more distant just because they were in the world, they weren't in the church. And I wanted to be this gospel worker to preach to them. And then it was this one time the deacon was like, "Sister, what's wrong? Why are you so upset?" I said, "I really want to preach to my family. I really want them to come receive the water of life and, be baptized. And I want this. I want us together. I want this unity." And he was just like, "Sometimes you have to just forget family." I said, "I would never forget my mom. I'm sorry. I would never
Yeah.
forget my mom." He's like, "Oh, well, you have a heavenly mother and a heavenly father. It's nothing but a copy and a shadow um of what's here on this earth." I said, "Listen, I still have my mom. I still need her. She is very much here. This ain't how I'm about to live. Y'all want us here from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep. That is not okay. Like there was no room for growth. There was no room for making sure you have that work-life balance. Like you are always on the verge of losing something, if not yourself. And being a kids room teacher, it was so much on me. I was super pregnant at the time, walking around. Everybody, oh sister, you look so miserable. I am supervising kids that don't listen, and I am teaching them things, like the kids age range from 6 to 12. And I'm just like, this is a huge, huge, huge age gap and age difference. So I'm trying to articulate different activities for them and show them how to have love, which I didn't really mind doing because I love bringing people together and love showing people like you don't have to be mean to show someone, this is how you're really supposed to do it. Vocalize, communicate. And that was my real motive behind becoming a kids room teacher because I wanted to see the kids grow and not have to go through, like any mistakes that I went through, but it was not easy. It was not an easy task. Um, and I was just like, yeah, I need to take a break from doing this. And I ended up leaving Group Me myself. They didn't kick me out. And once I had left Group Me, and they started coming by the house, knocking on the doors because they really wanted to know, why did you leave? I never had the experience to experience like how Amber had went through the actual being, banished away and treated bad like that. And I'm so sorry that that happened to you, Amber. It should never happen to you at all. Um when things just started to hit the fan, it was just like, oh my gosh, my experience was different, but I feel like everybody else experience is going to shape the way their life is going to go forward. And I'm just like, okay, it's how you really deal with it. And once I realized, I'm like, I'm not happy. I'm not happy here. I'm trying to be the best mom I could be. I'm scared. I don't want to go through postpartum again. I want to be like this strong woman for my babies, and being here is not it. I am struggling. I am struggling mentally. And when I had that conversation with the deaconess about the mental health thing, she said, oh, sister, I'll call pastor and we'll see if we can have a meeting. I'm like, yes, please call him because I don't feel like myself. Like, I don't want to be like these worldly people. I just want to be a good mom. I don't want to struggle anymore. And we ended up going out to New Windsor like 3 weeks later. And I sat with the pastor and he told me, he basically chuckled. Me and my husband at the time sat at the table with him. Oh, sister, what's going on? Oh, I'm just dealing with some mental health issues. I really don't know what to do. He chuckled and said, a lot of us have mental health issues. Maybe you should try taking medicine. And I said, what? Like there was no spiritual guidance. There was no spiritual anything. And that's what I wanted. Like if you're a leader, lead me the way that I need to be led when it comes to the spirituality.
Yeah,
But no, it's religion. There is a difference between spirituality and religion, which is an organized
yeah,
organization.
yeah.
Um,
That is so wild. That is so wild. Like they're so careless with their members, and they have no idea which way they're pushing the members, and it's really sad because
yeah,
members go through a lot, when you're in there, and it just is very telling. And just hearing your story, like how you said about how you have strained relationships now, and what I mean, trying to build those relationships. And
it's
yeah,
so
I can.
awkward.
It
It's so
is.
awkward
It
because I was staying, like at the time I'm staying with my mom, but us not having the best relationship because she know what she know and I know what I know. And I'm just like, okay, let me keep service. Mama, you're missing this, you're missing that. And when I tell you, she went on a whole rampage when it came to me not celebrating Christmas no more. She is just like, oh, heck no, we are not
yeah,
doing that. Why are you being weird like this? And I was trying to explain it to her. Her and my stepdad, they started looking into the church more, and they were bringing it to me, and I just was so upset because I'm like, why can't you trust me, or why don't you just allow me to branch out and be this free bird? And it was just mama bear trying to protect her baby. And
yeah,
I get that now, but it makes me be more apologetic. And it's just like, wow, you really went through a lot of strained relationships, getting into arguments, thinking you're defending something that really isn't nothing at all.
right,
And we had these meetups where we would go like preaching assembly where we would have to listen to pastor read something from any of the green books or father's books. And I'm just like, you know what? This is a lot. I don't want to be here. I just want to go home. I just want to go home. I just want to relax. I want to clean my house. Um, and my husband at the time was just like, I want to go preaching. I'm just like, okay, you could go preaching, but I don't want to be in the house by myself with this baby. I just want to clean and relax. Like I need you to realize, my husband, I need you here with me. And it just started to go downhill from there. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it just
Yeah.
started to go downhill from there, and it was just so bad. They even tried to get me to become friends with a sister that I was already friends with, but they tried to get me to switch up on her. And they were just like, see what she got going on, see if she's doing this, see if she's doing that. And I'm just like, I'm going with it, but the information that I'm giving them, I'm filtering it because I know me. I'm human still, and she's human still, and we don't know what everybody else around here does.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, mm-mm, this is not
So
okay.
messy, so messy, so
This is not
messy.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, I can't believe I was in there for so long, you know. I can't believe that I neglected my mom, my
Yeah.
dad, my brother,
My
my sister.
siblings. And
Yeah,
that's something that I was just recently thinking about the impact that it could have had on my siblings. I'm the oldest of a lot of kids. And my more immediate brothers that I stayed with in the house, like they always relied on me and I always was there. But it's just like I wish I understood that Sissy just needed to get out. Like I needed to get out the house. I wasn't the best, and this place was the best place for me that I thought in that moment.
yeah.
So I'm sorry if you feel like I neglected you. It wasn't intentional, but I'm here now. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to see that. Awesome to see members navigating how to, rebuild those relationships. And
it's
I believe
hard.
it is hard,
It's
but it's
definitely
definitely
hard.
possible. I had a situation like that with my sister actually, and I've been out for some years, and we literally just had a conversation about everything like a
Oh,
few months ago.
congratulations.
Yeah, so if you're watching, sister, I love you. But yeah, it's one of those things that it is very hard, but it is very doable. And so I want to encourage the members, like, you know what I mean? When you leave, yes, it is going to be hard, but I promise you, you can
It's
get
so
your life back.
rewarding.
It
You're
is.
gonna go through this emotional roller coaster, but to know that you're okay at the end, like I highly recommend therapy. Nobody's going to understand you, I promise you, unless it is someone who already went through it or have a similar experience. So do not over explain yourself. Do not over explain your experience. If you need to journal, write it out. Phone a friend that you know. Don't beat yourself up about your experience. It is just about where you're going, not where you came from. Um,
Exactly.
Another thing is if you're struggling and trying to figure out if you still should be there or not, I would say do more research and listen to more testimonies and listen to everybody's experience is different, but the storyline is still the same.
Yeah.
Like everything sounds the same. Everything is close to being the same. And it's just like, this sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. And like you said, yeah, that's definitely the same advice I would give people. Watch as much as you can because you're gonna see that there's a lot of similarities as well
Yeah.
as there's gonna be some differences, but there's a
And
reason
read
why.
those books. Read those
Yes.
books and question. And you're probably going to get pulled aside to do a personalized, individualized Bible study to get your belief to continue to grow strong. And you might be a little bit more loved by 'em when you do have questions, but stand firm in your questions. Don't question the things that you believe in or the things that you come across just because someone tells you not to. They
Yeah.
don't have proof that this guy is God. He never said he was God. So do
Yeah.
your research. And I feel like it was easier for me to fall into it because I was always seeking. I didn't really know the Bible. So it's easier for someone who don't really know the Bible to fall and be stuck. And me, I was just so happy go lucky. Okay, I'll try this church. I'll try this church. And then I got stuck here.
Yeah.
And I would say Yeah, I got stuck there and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm happy that I went through what I went through because of the simple fact it brought me here today. And you're going to have to go through a lot of emotional maturity. You're going to have to go through a lot of self-doubt and changes because you're going to question yourself, and this is natural. And it depends on your duration of how long you were there. Build yourself a natural support system. Talk to your family. Understand that you went through something that you can't go back and change, but you also have to accept yourself for who you are and accept that you went through something traumatic and that it's going to be okay because it will be.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, in closing, Dejanay, I just want to thank you for coming on here and sharing your story. I
Oh,
want to ask you a couple more questions in
absolutely.
closing. I just want to ask you, what made you want to tell your story, and then also after that, what advice would you give any current members that are watching this right now?
Okay. So what made me want to tell my story was watching Amber finally have the courage to step out and say something. This has been a conversation on multiple occasions about wanting to say something about who to talk to, but Amber really I really admired her work because she dug deep into it. She actually wasn't afraid to pick up the Bible again after she left because she had a revelation within herself and found who she feel like her God is. And I don't have any what do you call that? I don't have any judgment. I don't judge anybody who do go to church. I'm happy for you and I hope that you continue to be happy as long as everything's safe. Um Also with her telling her story, it just gave me butterflies to hear like, wow, she told my story too, and I need to tell mine. And I feel like her story wouldn't be complete without me telling mine too.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. And I'm so glad that you watched it. I'm so glad that it helped you and made you want to tell your story.
Yeah.
And so now for the members that are that potentially could be watching this right now, if
Mhm.
they're watching, what advice would you give them?
I would say take a step back and question. Take a step back and question. Look at the doctrine. Look at all of the websites that they said not to look at. Because if we can do countermeasures against other religions, why can't you do countermeasures against the attacks that you're receiving? You can't just say, "Oh, we can't follow that. We can't look at this. We can't look at that." No, dig deep, ask questions. And I promise you, when you start to ask questions, you're going to raise some eyebrows. And when you raise some eyebrows, stand firm on it. Continuously ask those questions. You're not wrong. You're going to feel guilty, and they might make you feel guilty and gaslight you for the questions that you do ask. But you are in control. You have your own mind. And being in this church will train you to not be okay with having your own mind. So you have a lot of inner fighting with yourself and your own, with your flesh and your mind. It's a lot of fighting because you feel wrong, but you're not wrong at all. Look into yourself, trust your instinct, and question everything. And don't give up. If you still want to find God and find hope, continuously search. But look into yourself first to have that strength and that courage. Because I promise you, if there's no self-love, you will develop it once you leave.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Dejanay, thank you again for doing
You're
this.
welcome.
It was amazing, and I'm sure you probably got more stories to tell. So we could always do a
Yeah.
part two. But yeah, I just loved having you on the show. And to everybody, all the supporters out there, everybody that's watching, please continue to support the channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing this content so it can get out to members, and so that
Yeah.
members can have their
Even the
time, their
ones who
chance.
didn't speak up yet, like
Yeah,
this, let this be your sign. Speak up, speak out.
yeah,
You're not in trouble. You're not going to be in trouble. This should be part of your healing process, letting other members who were once like you see what you went through and that it's okay, that the outcome is better than what they say that it's going to be.
yeah. That's one of the biggest reasons why we do it because, they make it sound like life is so horrible once you
Yeah.
leave, but actually it's the complete opposite. And so, just once again, thank you again for being on the show. And until next time, thank you for watching
Yes.
another episode of Diffusing the WMSCOG.